welcome back. So in this video, this is going to be my review of Shadow and Bone, the first book in the Shadow and Bone trilogy written by Leigh Bardugo. This book, I liked it. I felt like the tropes in it kind of kept me from liking it. There were just so many in there. This review, I'm gonna try something new. Tell me if you like it or you don't. But instead of just doing like a generalization of it in terms of characters, plot, and then like main points about it, I'm gonna try to go almost chapter by chapter, if that makes sense. Just like picking out what happens. And so yeah, we'll try that. If you don't like it, just tell me, and I won't do it again. If you like it, tell me, and I'll continue to do it. So yeah, let's get into it. Also, there will be a spoiler part in this video, and I will put a disclaimer in it when that time happens. So yeah, just letting you know. So the book opens with Elena, who's the main character of this book, in a military camp, and they are entering into the Fold, which is essentially like this black pit of nothingness running through Ravka. I can read it just fine. I can't pronounce anything though. I'm sorry. Ravka. It's Ravka. Okay, so it's basically these creatures live in there, and people who enter it, they're usually killed. But they're trying to get through it because they're in a war, and they're trying to get through to send more troops and backup and that kind of stuff. But it's extremely dangerous. In this chapter, we are introduced to Mal. In the other reviews of the second and third book, you're going to hear a lot about Mal. But for this book, I actually quite enjoyed him. I actually really liked Mal in this book. So, yeah, we're introduced to Mal. He's, of course, this really handsome, good-looking, cocky, sarcastic, charming guy. And, of course, she's this skinny twig. I think she has brown hair and brown eyes because Lord knows that that's not attractive in the slightest to anyone whatsoever, despite it being literally the most popular hair and eye color on the planet. So yeah, evidently like 98% of the planet isn't popular as well as people who are skinny. So yeah, right off the bat almost, we get our first trope, which is the girl who isn't pretty and likes this guy that's far out of her league. That annoyed me. I don't like this trope in the slightest. I hate this trope so much. It can be done correctly though. Like as I've stated before, and like one of my books, Ashes of Revenge, it's a fantasy book. My main character, who is a girl, has half of her face literally burned off. Like it is completely just scar tissue. So I don't like make her pity herself, but you know, she doesn't like looking at herself in a mirror or anything like that. And I feel like that's pretty understandable. But when there's literally like nothing wrong with you except that you have dark circles under your eyes and your skin is kind of pale, I'm sorry, I can't get behind you. I just can't. Like, it was so unnecessary, especially in the later books. This plot is, or the detail is just so unnecessary. But yeah, anyway, sorry, that was my little rant. We'll be moving right on. So she's a mapper in this campsite along with one of her friends. So basically they just chart stuff down, and Mal, of course, is a fighter. And then later on, the Darkling appears with his, I guess, right-hand in command, Zoya. I can read it just fine, I just can't say it, it's so annoying. But yeah, Zoya, who is this extremely pretty person, and the Darkling is this extremely pretty person, and they're this really pretty and powerful and perfect, and yeah, so yeah, that's our introduction to them. In this book, I didn't like Zoya at all. In the other books, I actually grew to love her, but in this book, she's kind of portrayed as like a high school bully. Like it just comes off childish. I didn't like it. But yeah, so anyway, their camp gets attacked by these monsters in the Fold, and her map-making friend, who I'm not even gonna bother like looking up a name because she literally dies like within the first chapter, so why even remember? He's never mentioned again, is killed. and a creature latches onto her, and Mal grabs her, and before she's killed, this bright light like comes out of her and like destroys the monsters. It gets them to run away or something, and she just blacks out. And then she wakes up in a tent, and she's summoned to the Darkling's chamber. And she's summoned to the Darkling's chamber, of course. And he's like, do that again, show me your power, whatnot. She's like, I don't have power, I'm not special or anything. Which is another cliche that I don't like at all. So that's also throughout this book. Like, even after she gets her power, she's like, I'm not special. I'm like, sweetie, you're the only one of your kind. Yes, you are. Okay, but anyway, my bad. So yeah, he touches her, and it turns out that he's actually a human amplifier, and these amplifiers turn out to be really important in this trilogy. Basically, what they are these things that can intensify a Grisha's power. So if they wear it, then they're extremely powerful, almost unstoppable. And so he's a human amplifier, and he's the only Grisha that can create, darkness. And so that's why they call him the Darkling. So him and Elena are one of a kind. You got light and dark. He's a human amplifier. Good team. So she's taken away, and she's sent to this castle. I think it's called like the Little Palace or whatnot. And on their way there, their carriage actually gets attacked by people. I don't remember, but I don't think it's ever really explained what exactly they were doing. But this does give us a chance to see the Darkling's power. He has this thing called the Cut, where he can literally slice you in half. So that was really cool. And then we also get some more scenes with him and Elena. I actually really enjoyed the Darkling. Like, throughout this trilogy, he was a solid character that I thoroughly enjoyed. I wish that he was actually in all 3 books just a bit more, but for what it was fine. And so while they're talking, she actually learns that the Fold, this dark place, was created by his grandfather, and that he's trying to undo the damage. So she starts to see like some humanity in him or whatnot. So they arrive at the Little Palace. And immediately the contrast is made between how, these royals are just like feasting and whatnot, and the peasants are literally like starving in the streets. I thought that was a good comparison. I like it in books like this, in terms of war, when the royals and nobles and all these other people are literally living their best life and the peasants are suffering. I really like that aspect of it. It was kind of glossed over in the other 2 books, kinda. I almost wished it was a bit more, struck hard in the head or something. But, I'm not complaining. It was still really well done, so congrats. So in this palace, she ends up meeting a person named Genya. I can read the name, I just can't pronounce it. So anyway, this person, she is a tailor, I believe that they're called. So basically, if you get like a scar on your face or whatnot, she can heal you, make it look perfect. And of course, this person is extremely pretty because she tailors herself all the time. And of course, Elena has to make the contradiction between the 2, that she's ugly and Genya's pretty and all that other stuff, and it just really, really, really wore on me so much. I just didn't care. But, it is what it is. But anyway, in this castle, you get to see some of the class system, even within the nobles. The Grisha, they have different colored robes to represent what status they are. So the Darkling, he wears black, that's the most powerful. And then like the Inferno, people who can like, move fire and stuff, they wear red. I believe the people who can move air is like blue or something like that. But anyway, so you can see like when she enters, everyone wants a piece of her because she's light. And, you can kind of see how they're divided. Like, they're like, no, they should be with me. We're the most powerful. And it's like, no. Of course, the Darkling steps in. Everyone's like, have her, So, they they meet the king and the queen, and the king and the queen are just as, you know, noble and snotty as they can get, and all that other stuff. But, you know, so anyway, while she's here, she can't really focus on her power because she doesn't really know how to. So she goes into training, this person, and then we meet Baghra. I can read it, I just can't pronounce it. So basically, this person is trying to get her to use her light, and she can't really do it. And I actually really love Baghra. She's like this old grumpy person with a stick that just like beats up Elena with it. It's just like the best thing ever. Like, she's like, you're not trying, just whack on the head. It was amazing. I loved it. But so anyway, Elena's having trouble. She can't, you know, seem to like get her power. Also, side note, this never comes up again, but it's like made such a big deal in the book. At night, the maid and everyone else tells Elena, make sure you lock your door. Lock your door. And she's like, why? And it's like, just lock your door. And it never comes up again. There's never a reason why she needs to lock her door. I thought that was going to be like something roaming around the castle, or like someone, you know, like to, I don't know, steal or something. Nothing happened. Maybe I just might have missed it, but I just remember thinking, wait, why does she ever have to lock her door? What was the issue with that? Like, I just didn't understand, unless I'm missing something. If I am, please comment down below and tell me. But yeah, like that side rant. So after this is huge time jump, it's like months and months and months, I think. And after that, like she finally or she's been writing letters to Mal this entire time, and he hasn't been responding or whatnot. And then finally she like lets go of Mal, and she can finally use her powers again. She's not like trying to hide them or anything like that. And she actually thinks back to their childhood a bit. Her and Mal, they were orphans. And I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of a trope, but I actually like what happened with them. This isn't a spoiler whatsoever. But usually when there's an orphan, it's like, who are my parents? And then there's like a giant subplot, and then usually they end up finding them or something. That never happened in this book, and I was so grateful for that. It was literally just like, yeah, I'm an orphan. Great, you know? It's like, I have my family right here, which I really enjoyed, that there wasn't this entire subplot of who is my family, essentially. So yeah, I enjoyed that aspect of it. Okay, so while she's in the castle, her and the Darkling have a few more scenes together. There's kind of like a romance blossoming between the two. And the Darkling asks about Mal. He's like, is he any good at tracking? Which, by the way, Mal is extremely good at tracking, really good at tracking. He can track anything. That was his main job in the army. He was a tracker. So, yeah. So, anyway, yeah, the Darkling and Elena, they're getting along great. They actually, I think, kiss or make out a few times, so good for her. Not gonna lie, I actually really enjoyed his and Elena's, like, romantic relationship. Like I said, I hate love triangles, and this series is one of the biggest things for it. I can't even think of the word, but you know what I mean. So, like, yeah, there's a love triangle. Later it turns into a love square, and I'm surprised that it didn't move into a love pentagon, if we're being honest here. But yeah, Elena likes Mal. Mal doesn't like her back. The Darkling likes her, and she likes the Darkling. So, like, she finally, like, that was one of the reasons why she could let go and use her powers again, was because she's like, no, I like the Darkling. And so, you know, she let go of Mal. She was able to use her powers. But yeah, going back to the point, the Darkling and her relationship I really liked. Throughout the 3 books, I consistently enjoyed their scenes together. They were really well done. You know, usually I don't like it when the bad guy is kind of like a romantic, I guess. But here it's played out really, really well, considering that he's also technically, or untechnically, around the same age that she is. You know, he's immortal, but he still looks like he's like 18, 19, you know, something like that. So yeah, I actually really enjoyed the relationship, and I actually enjoyed Elena and Mal's relationship in this book. Only this book. Heed my words. But yeah, I enjoyed the relationship in there too. The love triangle, I hate that it was there, but at the same time, it was done to the point where I would be happy with whoever she chose. This isn't like the Hunger Games where I was like, no, there's only one clear option between. No, it was like, you could go with either and I'd be fine with it. Like, they're both good choices. I understand the reasons for both. I just didn't like that it was there. You know? You read me? Okay. And then Genya and Elena, they start talking about Genya's love life and stuff like that. She's actually attracted to a fabricator named David. A fabricator, they can basically like bend metal and stuff like that and make stuff really well. So David is like this really awkward person, and Elena's like, I don't know how you can like him, and she's like, I just do. So yeah, their relationship was cute as well. It was extremely awkward, but it was cute. So of course we have to get another scene where Elena's looking at her appearance, and she's like, I've learned to avoid mirrors. They never seemed to show me what I wanted to see. But the girl standing next to Genya in the glass was a stranger. She had rosy cheeks, shiny hair, and a shape. This scene has already been done. These pink tabs right here, I don't know if you can see them, but those pink tabs, that's every time that she mentioned the change in her appearance or like how she looked not beautiful or something like that. So when she first arrives at the castle, Genya does her face. Like it's the same thing. Like she fixes her face essentially. And then we get a repeat of that. I'm just like, why is this necessary? I know. Like, really, the only thing that needs to be mentioned was that she has a figure because, you know, she's also a stick, which is extremely unattractive, evidently. But yeah, she was a stick, and now she kind of has a figure. I felt like that was the only thing that needed to be mentioned, considering that her face has already been, you know, tailored multiple times. A lot of times. Since the beginning. Also, this is kind of like a side note or a side story in this, but there's this character called the Apparat, I believe. He's like this really religious figure who's really creepy, and he just hangs out in the library and he freaks Elena out. And I believe it's him who actually mentions the amplifier to her, which is the deer, you know, the white stag or whatnot. So, yeah, he doesn't really come into play in this book. He's just kind of there. It's a tad bit unnecessary, but you know, it is what it is. So yeah, anyway, the Darkling and Elena continue their romantic relationship. They kiss and all that kind of stuff. So that's you know, that's good for them. So yeah, that's good and all that kind of stuff. The relationship is really, you know, shooting off. It's amazing. And so Mal actually ends up at the castle at one point, and you know, Elena's really happy to see him, and he's like, not too thrilled about it, and it's not a good reunion for either of them. She's like, what are you doing here? He's like, I've been assigned to track down this white stag, the amplifier, for you. And she's like, oh, okay. So, yeah. And so one night, the old woman with the stick, she wakes up Elena, and this is kind of where we get into spoilers. So if you don't want to be spoiled, if you're reading the book, you haven't read the book yet, and you know you don't want anything to be spoiled, then thank you for stopping by. Bye. If you don't care about spoilers, if you read the book and you just want to hear my opinions, hello. So yeah, the old lady with the walking stick wakes up Elena and is like, you gotta leave now. And Elena's like, what? Why? And she's like, the Darkling, he's gonna use you. And Elena's like, he would never do that. And she's like, yes, he would, because he created the Fold. So, turns out that there was no grandfather. The Darkling was the one who created the Fold. He was trying to use, I believe, an amplifier, and it just got way out of hand. He was trying to, like, do something with his power, and it just got way out of hand, creative monsters and all this kind of stuff. And so, the old woman with the walking stick is like, once Mal finds the stag, the Darkling's going to use it. And Elena's like, but he can't use an amplifier because he indeed is one. So the rule is, the Grisha rule is, in the books, that like attracts to like. So Grisha can only attract like certain things. Like a fabricator can't bend fire, and Inferno can't tailor anyone. That's just how it is. So the Darkling, because he's an amplifier, he can't use an amplifier because they repel one another, if that makes sense. And the old lady with the walking stick is like, no, but he can use you. The second that he gets the amplifier, he's going to put it around you, and he's going to use you as a weapon because you two will be linked because he is an amplifier, and therefore he can control you. All he has to do is place it around your neck, and he essentially owns you. And so it's actually revealed also that the old lady with the walking stick is the Darkling's mother. The Darkling's mother. I feel like this mother, like I like this mother. I'm not gonna lie. I like her in the other books too. She's a good character. I enjoy her crankiness. It's really nice. But I feel like she could have given Elena just the tiniest bit of a heads up when Elena first arrived at the castle, because throughout this book, the Darkling and his mother have been arguing about the amplifier, whether or not they can find it or not, because it's supposed to be non-existent. It's not supposed to exist. It's supposed to be like a fairy tale. He's like, no, I can find it. She's like, don't. So they've been arguing this entire time. The mother has known his intentions this entire time, has known that he has created the fold this entire time, has known that Elena has been the target this entire time, and she waits until the dead of night to drag Elena out of bed, give her a rucksack with some food and money in it, and go, you need to leave right now because my son is evil. First off, who knew that a character with a name such as the Darkling would be a bad guy? I don't know. But yeah, so anyway, I feel like there could have been like a better way to go about this, really. It was kind of handled really poorly. It just wasn't done well. And of course, you know, the Darkling finds out that Elena's gone like the second she leaves. So Elena leaves the castle and she's in town, and she gets hit on by like every man there. And I'm just like, what? I thought that she wasn't pretty. I thought that was the entire point. I thought that she wasn't particularly pretty because tailoring, you know, what's been done to her face eventually wears off. So, like, I assume that the tailoring has worn off or something. And yet, people still find her pretty. I just wish that there would have been, like, a bit more, you know, conciseness to this. Like, if you're going to say that you're not that attractive, then don't make every single male in the book attractive to you. You know what I mean? Like, if you're not going to be attractive, it's okay to have one or maybe two people find you, you know, attractive to look at and all that kind of stuff. But when it's literally the entire male cast, the Darkling Mal, later in the book she gives like 2 or 3 more people, everyone in town, like everyone thinks that this girl is pretty. And I'm just like, I thought she wasn't. Like, it just confused me. I know this is like another side rant. I do apologize, but that just bugs me. Like, if you're not pretty, then don't make everyone attractive to you. I don't know. Like, yeah, it just bugs me. I just don't like this little cliche that's going on in YA. I just don't like it. It's just annoying. It's an annoying cliche of having the not pretty girl having the entire male cast attracted to her. I just don't like it. And I just don't like the trope. That's all I'm saying. Without a reason, I don't like the trope, if you get what I mean. And she gets hit on again. This is like the same chapter, and like this is the third guy that hits on her. So, yeah. There's another chapter. Another guy finds her attractive. He says, "For you, pretty girl." That's like the 5th random male character to find her attractive. Okay, I'm not gonna go into another side rant. I'm sorry. So Mal eventually finds her, and he's actually deserted the army for this girl. He's decided, no, I'm not gonna hunt you down. I'm gonna find you and protect you, I guess. So yeah, because he's good at tracking, he manages to find her. The two team up, and then they have like a little love scene again. So she talks about how she misses him, and then he talks about how he misses her like every hour of every day they were separated. He says, "I'm sorry it took me so long to see you, Elena, but I see you now." And then they kiss, and she's like, I thought I had given up on Mal. I thought the love I've had for him belonged to the past, to the foolish, lonely girl I never wanted to be again. I tried to bury that girl in the love she'd felt, just as I tried to bury my power. So basically, that entire subplot of her coming to realization that she doesn't like Mal, she doesn't love him, he'll never love her, she'll never love him, is completely destroyed with a simple kiss. I feel like it would have been just a tad bit better if maybe she hadn't come to that conclusion and maybe she still had hope, because it almost, if without the hope, because she had no hope for him or their relationship, it almost makes the relationship seem kind of, I don't know, rushed, if that makes sense. Like, you know, he didn't want to be with her, she wanted to be with him, and then she didn't want to be with him, but he wanted to be with her, and now they're finally together, and it's just like, why couldn't she have just hoped, and then, like, he confessed it, you know, his love, his undying love to her, and then that happens, because it makes no sense to reawaken those emotions. Like, I get what was happening and what the author was going for here, but I just felt like that extra little subplot of her, like, letting him go wasn't completely necessary, considering for the next 3 books she's literally, like, clinging to him. So, yeah, I found that just a tad bit unnecessary, considering that I knew for a fact that they would get back together again. Like, even when she's like, I don't love him, I'm like, you'll see him again, sweetie, don't worry, you'll see him again. So, yeah, I could tell. I could tell it was going to happen. It was a bit cliche, but you know, it is what it is. It's fine. Like I said, I actually really like their relationship in this book, so it doesn't bug me too much. So let's continue. Sorry again for the rant. So Mal ends up tracking down the stag, which is like next to impossible. And they have to kill it in order for her to gain possession of the amplifier and all its power, and so it can't be used as a weapon against her. She personally has to kill it. Right, the entire fate of Ravka is resting on her being able to kill this stag and stop this war, stop the Darkling, because the Darkling wants to push Ravka forward and destroy every other nation around it, so Ravka is like the only way, the only rise to power, and Grisha will rise to power again as well. She doesn't kill it. She doesn't kill it. She gets like sentimental about this thing that she's just met, and she's like, I can't kill it. Elena, Mal murmured urgently. We don't have much time. You know what you have to do. I shook my head. I could not break the stag's dark gaze. No, Mal. We'll find another way. Girl, the entire country is about to enter into a civil war. It's already in war. But literally, the Grisha, some of the most powerful people in this entire country, who can control fire, earth, you know, all that kind of stuff, wind, and the Darkling, are trying to rise to power to wipe out everyone who's been opposing them for years and rebuild their population. And you don't want to kill it because it's feeling. Like, she describes it in such a way is that, like, it was such, like, a majestic beast or whatnot, and, you know, the eyes to the soul or whatnot, and she couldn't kill it. One simple, ancient, legendary stag, an entire country about to enter into a world war with, essentially, inhuman Grisha that want revenge on everyone, including the Darkling, who created the Fold by mistake. You need to set your priorities straight. This isn't the time for sympathy. It's a stag versus the entire country. No, you won't find another way. My goodness, what do you think was going to happen? Ooh, Elena. I love Elena, but she's sometimes she just doesn't use her brain. And I'm not trying to be mean to Leigh Bardugo. I get what was going on. It was kind of setting up the power play that happens in the other 2 books. But at the same time, it's just like, I felt like the scene should have been a bit different to where maybe, I don't know, she hesitates like the faintest of seconds, and then she's interrupted instead of saying, no, we'll find another way. Like, she just completely gave up! Like, the Darkling knows you're gone. The Darkling has trackers of his own. The Darkling wants the stag. Kill the thing! So the Darkling finds them, and of course he manages to kill the stag, and then he collars Elena, so now they are linked. He essentially controls her. He can make her use her light, her power, even when she doesn't want to. She's basically just like his puppet at this point. In order to keep up appearances back at the little castle and all that, the Darkling brings the pair back. He imprisons Mal, and also Elena, but he can't officially imprison her. It's like, hey, you try anything, you can't use your power because I'm controlling your power now, but we will kill your little boyfriend, you know? She's like, okay, I'll comply. So, yeah, they get captured, whatnot. They beat the crap out of Mal, and then they go into the fold with a bunch of other Grisha. The Darkling is telling everyone that he's going to destroy this fold. You know, it's gonna be gone. But his real plan is to expand the fold, so then he'll take out the bordering, nations around it, because essentially that is his power. Those creatures, he created the creatures, so he's, they're his. So he wants to expand the fold, expand the power of Ravka, take out the other countries. So they go into the fold, and the light keeps the monsters away, and they push Mal like over a railing, and the creatures begin to descend upon him. And Elena like finds it in herself to use her power, so she jumps down and she saves Mal, and she uses her light to fend off the creatures. And she and Mal escape, but all the light, like the fire and stuff that they had, is taken out by her as well. So the last chapter in the book is just hearing like the screams of, the Darkling and the other people that he brought with him being eaten by the monsters, essentially. And so it kind of ends with her and Mal, hiding out in the city, and she doesn't know if the Darkling survived. She assumes that he did survive because, he's the Darkling, but she also thinks that he could be dead. So that's kind of how it ends, with them on the run, her hiding her collar, and the Darkling presumed dead. But obviously it's a trilogy, so obviously that wasn't the case. So this book I gave 4 stars. Like I said before, the cliches, I felt held it back. In case you couldn't tell from some of my side rants and other stuff like that, I wasn't a big fan of the cliches. I felt they were unnecessary. They kind of, took away from the plot, because this is a really interesting idea. I actually really like this concept. The world itself is very interesting, except for the fact that I don't really know like where every location is, if that makes sense. Like, that was one of my problems, where she would say the shoe or whatnot, and I'd be like, wait, where is that? I only knew Ravka. But she would mention all these other locations, and I had no idea where she was talking about. So I'd have to kind of like look at the map on the front, and even then that kind of really didn't help me. I began to grasp the world a bit more in Six of Crows. That kind of helped me out a lot. But throughout this trilogy, really only Ravka was the only place that I knew. Maybe like one other location, but nothing was really cemented. Nothing, it was a cool world, but I only felt like it was Ravka, and then the other places were just kind of side glance, and I felt like they didn't need to be mentioned at all, since I had no idea what she was talking about. But yeah, anyway, this was a really cool idea. I like the premise. For the most part, I like the characters. I love the Darkling. If you know anything about me, you know that I love to hate the bad guy. I love bad guys that I can sympathize with, or, have fun reading about, and that kind of stuff. And the Darkling 100% did that for me. So I was really happy about that aspect. This book really isn't my favorite of the trilogy, and it seems that people tend to like this book more than the others, but if we're being honest, the second book is my favorite in the trilogy. So I'm kind of like the odd man out, if that makes sense. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It's not my favorite, definitely not up there with Six of Crows or Crooked Kingdom or anything like that. It's good. I'm glad that I read it. I'm glad that I got it out of the way, but it's probably not anything that I'm going to be rereading anytime soon or anything like that. So I'm just glad that I read it. Thank you as always for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And you can find all my other social media such as Instagram, Facebook, Twitter down in the description below. It'd really mean a lot to me if you would follow me there. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye!